Hi, everyone. Today I want to talk about the news. First up, Jerome Powell went on 60 Minutes, said he's got lots of ammunition to fight a recession. Second, we got Jerome again, saying that a recovery might not happen without a vaccine. Then we got Alibaba, Walmart, and Target talking about the effects of the cough situation. And last up, we got Saudi Arabia out here buying $7.7 billion of shares of the best-known companies for its sovereign wealth fund. As always, there will be a little bit of jelly at the end, which is something I enjoyed outside of the markets. In honor of the Saudi purchase, this is the Salvator Mundi, recently purchased by the Saudi royal prince for $450 million. If you're interested in buying a painting like this, which I'm not sure why you would be, go ahead and like and subscribe. And with that, welcome to the Portfolio Bulletin. Let's get started. All right, first up, Jerome, going on 60 Minutes, says he's not out of ammunition to fight the recession. He went on to say that there is no limit to what the Fed can do to lend money to financial markets. So there's a lot more we can do to support the economy, and we're committed to doing everything as long as we need to. So basically, he's saying that they are full up on paper and ink, and they are ready to print some debt. He mentioned they might change their strategy on asset purchasing. Remember, the Federal Reserve can't actually print money. They can only print debt. So all the money that they give to anyone must be paid back. That includes the money that they lend to Congress or to any of these businesses. He said that we are currently running a deficit, but he also said that now is not the time to worry about that deficit. If we don't spend now, there will be longer-term damages to productive capability that will affect the economy and people's lives, and that debt will have to be paid decades in the future. He then said he thought peak unemployment will be somewhere around 20 to 25%, which is equivalent to the 1930s Great Depression. If you've listened to any of my other videos regarding the Fed, I will say it one more time, don't fight the Fed. They are willing to take on massive debt to support this economy and fight any kind of recession brought on by this cough situation. Moving on, Jerome says a full economic recovery may not happen without a vaccine. Assuming there's not a second wave of the Roni, I think you'll see that an economic recovery steadily through the second half of the year. He then said for the full economy to recover, that may have to await the arrival of a vaccine. In the interview, he explained this a little further. He said it's because economic confidence and consumer confidence needs to be high enough for people to go out and buy things. That confidence is not likely to be there until there's a vaccine. In my personal opinion, I think he's a little bit overstating here. I think more people than we know have had the coronavirus. And if that's true, then we might have a bigger herd immunity than we already know. And if that's true, people are going to go out much quicker. If we can ramp up testing, maybe some antibody testing, or really just a better knowledge of how social distancing and masks can be used to limit the spread of this thing without having to have a full vaccine, then perhaps a stronger economic recovery is possible. That being said, I still agree that the end of next year is really when we're going to see the effects of this massive spending. All right, on to the retailer's view of the pandemic. So the perspective here is when people are locked in their homes, they're more likely to go online and buy things. But with the situation that we have going on now, online sellers, which include Baba, Walmart, and Target, they all have to find ways to ship things with no contact, especially Baba, who is mainly an online retailer. At least Walmart and Target have physical locations, which bring their own sets of problems. So if they're only allowed to let a certain amount of people in the stores, that might be an issue. However, in terms of earnings, I think Walmart and Target are going to be just fine. The way that people have been cleaning out these stores, especially on the food side of the house, Walmart and Target are going to be fine in terms of earnings, in my opinion. I acknowledge that is a little bit of anecdotal evidence, but the way that Costco has surged during this lockdown, I think that's going to carry over to Walmart and Target. Moving on, the article goes on to talk about a 42% drop in earnings from second quarter compared to the 11% drop seen in March. It also says here half of the S&P 500 companies set to announce their earnings on May 12th retracted their forward guidance, another fifth revised their outlooks, and only 11% maintained their forecast. Walmart has recently accelerated development of its new 2-hour delivery offering, which will cost $10 on top of existing delivery charges. Which I guess is a good way to help cope with this. That way people don't have to leave their houses, but they can still get groceries and do it in a less populated way. The Chinese government data showed slower overall growth for online purchases of physical goods in January and February. However, April numbers were back to near pre-virus levels, which is definitely a positive sign for BABA. So for my thoughts on these major retailers, they're making adjustments to cope with the Rona situation, and it seems to me that their earnings are going to be just fine. Maybe they won't see as much growth as was expected, but they're definitely not going to see the sharp drop-off that other industries are seeing. Moving on to the last article, Saudi Arabia buys $7.7 billion in shares in the world's best-known companies. Saudi Arabia has a $300 billion public investment fund that it uses to buy stakes in global corporations. And I guess in this case, they decided to buy Boeing, Facebook, Disney, Marriott, and Starbucks. Looks like they bought some Citigroup as well as Bank of America, and they bought BP and Royal Dutch Shell. Probably well acquainted with the oil companies at least. They go on to say that they have confidence in these companies and they assume that they will go back up. The Wealth Fund views itself as a long-term horizon investor, and they actively seek opportunities for both in Saudi Arabia and globally. In declarations made to the U.S. stock market regulator, they are shown to have $10 billion worth of holdings in 24 companies. Their largest holding is $2 billion in Uber. Next largest is BP, where they own $827 million worth of shares. And then Boeing at $713 million. Facebook and Citigroup valued at $521 million each. It says here they've also taken an interest in Cisco, Qualcomm, and Broadcom. And in terms of pharmaceuticals, they prefer Pfizer. They have a small purchase in Berkshire Hathaway. So basically, the Saudis are just buying up all the quality companies in the United States because they think they're currently on sale. All right, to summarize, Jerome Powell went on 60 Minutes. He told the world that the Fed has lots of money to print and that they are willing to print that money in order to fight this recession. He also said if we don't continue to use the Fed's weapons to support this economy, that the lasting effects from this downturn could be very detrimental. During the interview, he also urged Congress to spend more money to help support the economy. He also said peak unemployment could be somewhere 20 to 25%, which is on par with the Great Depression. 40% of income earners below $40,000 have lost their job. And he's concerned that a full recovery won't be possible until a vaccine due to consumer confidence. If consumers don't feel comfortable or safe going out to these retailers or going on vacations, then the economy is not going to fully recover until they do feel comfortable. Retailers dealing with the pandemic, Walmart is working on its 2-hour delivery. Target feels comfortable with its forecasts. Alibaba has had online orders return. However, all of these retailers are still trying to figure out exactly how they're going to continue to ship goods at the rate that they were before due to the virus. However, they're still projecting a 42% drop in earnings for second quarter, and most retailers have withdrawn their guidance for the rest of the year. Finally, the Saudis have been buying. They bought $7.7 billion worth of shares. They bought Facebook, Marriott, Disney, Starbucks, Citigroup, Bank of America, BP, and Shell. That's on top of all the other holdings that they already had, including a $2 billion holding in Uber. And with that, let's get to the jelly. Today's jelly is from 10 Second Songs. He sings each song in 20 styles, and his latest video is Freak on a Leash. He's a very talented singer, and it's really impressive how he sings these songs and really molds them together around all of these different styles. Here's a little bit of what that sounds like.
Something takes a part of me, something lost and never seen. Every time I start to believe something's raped and taken from me. You'll never see me fall from grace.
The guy's clearly got a great voice, really talented in mimicking other styles. Plus, he's got a really great mustache. If you're interested in watching the whole video, I will link it in the description. Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss a video, and have a great day.